Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. We're super excited to be here as well. I am Olivia Dell, along here with Chelsea Toler. We are the founders of Nova Impact, which is a private community of next-gen investors, entrepreneurs, and philanthropists focused on supporting impact-driven initiatives. And with that, I'll hand it to Chelsea.
Yeah, so before I introduce the panelists, we just want to say a huge thank you to Fyli and to Jacqueline and Kat and Summer and the entire team and James Lane. Without them, we would not be here. And more importantly, without us being here, we wouldn't be able to celebrate the women that are here today with us. So
Yay.
With that, I will introduce our panelists. We have Abby, who I have heard, and I will get this correct, Stephen, is now the COO of Charity Charge, which we're very excited about. We have Gaby, that is the head of marketing for Stellic and a dear friend of Olivia's. And then we have Maria, who is the CEO and founder of IssueVoter, who has been with me from the very start of me trying to build an advisory board with our family foundation. And we're so excited to have them here with us. So our first question for you ladies is, can you share a little bit about what you're working on now, what you're excited about, and how you've gained agency in the impact space? We'll start with Maria.
Hi, everyone. I'm working on three things now, three main things. I think I'm always someone that's like to have a lot of different projects running in parallel. So I am the founder of IssueVoter, which is a nonpartisan nonprofit. It's a tech platform that enables you to get alerts before Congress votes and send them your opinion throughout the year. And then we automatically track their voting records and show you the percentage of time you're being represented. And so that's really something that came out of a passion. And so when you ask about how you found your agency, I think that, in creating IssueVoter, one of the things that I did was I talked to a lot of people before any line of code was written, and really got a lot of feedback and advice. And that was something that was very helpful in those very early days. The second thing that I'm doing is I also was really upset by the increase in violence towards Asian Americans that people may have heard about in 2020. And so I gathered a group of volunteer data scientists to help a couple of the national nonprofits who have forms on their websites to report these incidents, but to actually use data science to improve the forms themselves, and then to also create visualizations and better ways to actually share the information with the public. Because what good is data if people don't know about it or people can't understand it? And then the third thing I just started doing was I consulting to a app that enables you to trade crypto without a bank account. And so the cool thing about that is it's not a nonprofit, but the thing that's very impact related about that is that for all the people that are unbanked and for people who don't have access to bank accounts, they can actually start to access the blockchain Web3 kind of crypto markets. So those are my three main things, and
she's not busy at all.
She doesn't
I
sleep.
actually don't feel, I feel like I'm still looking for like a fourth challenge. So if anyone out there wants some, consulting, fractional exec, I'm open to things like that. I'm not sure, did I answer all your questions?
For now.
Okay, thank you.
Gaby, do you want to go next?
Sure. Hi, I'm Gaby DeLeon, head of marketing at Stellic, and this is my fourth ed tech type of company to be working for. I've been building marketing teams in ed tech organizations, even starting out in college. I was a first-gen college student myself and just experienced firsthand a lot of the inequities, being kind of the first to navigate the complex experience that is graduating, and much less in 4 years. I'm not sure how familiar this audience is with the 4-year national graduation rate, but we're declining. I think when I started this work, we were in the mid 40% 4-year graduation rate. Now we're just under, kind of creeping around 36, 33%. And a lot of that is just due to the lack of resources available to all students in an equitable way. And so at Stellic, we're creating a technology platform that just brings visibility and transparency to the student experience so that they can navigate all of the course options available to them that meet their degree plan, and even consider what if scenarios, if they want to switch a major, if they want to see what transfer credits come in from high school and dual credit. And I was in college maybe 12 years ago, and we were still kind of mapping that out on pen and paper. So when we talk about agency, I'm working on behalf of student agency, but coming from a place of what I experienced myself. And, one of the things we talked about when we were meeting before this panel is kind of taking a mission-based path off of kind of things that are expected of you. I was a business major. And so as we talk about kind of how we gravitated toward the different missions and impact that we're focused on, I think a common theme among all of us is that we're all doing something that's really close to our hearts and something that we all experience firsthand.
Well, good to be here. And I was actually in school at UT Austin 5 years ago and encountered a lot of the same problems that Gaby is tackling. So definitely resonate with that. As Chelsea said, I am currently COO at Charity Charge, where we provide business credit cards for nonprofits. So the heart of what we do and what we're really focusing on is ultimately financial inclusion. So we want all nonprofits, regardless of their size and their cause, and regardless of being minority-led or maybe minority-founded, to have access to the credit that they need. So I'm super excited about really this financial inclusion movement that we're starting to see. There's a lot of big players out there. Even our partner MasterCard, for example, is really starting to put a lot of resources behind this movement. So it's exciting. I think a lot of programs, including Charity Charge out there, are really contributing to the movement. So I think it's awesome. We're really starting to see that ramp up, and we have a long way to go, but I'm excited to kind of be in on the ground floor with this movement.
Thanks, Abby. So I'm going to turn it over to Olivia to ask the second question. But before I do that, just for this room and because I think it's important, they each shared the incredible things that they do. But I think more importantly, it's in who they are. So what Abby might not tell you is that she started with Steven out of college as an intern and is now as their COO and has scaled the company. What Gaby may not tell you is she's pivoted over and over again to help make sure that she brought what our education system needed to various companies that she's been a part of. And for Maria, she's paved the way for other women in the space to be fearless in terms of starting their own organization when they find a problem that they want to solve in the world. So let's celebrate them, right?
Yeah, I don't know how to follow that, but no, I mean, absolutely. I think it's pretty clear that all of these women are kind of leveraging the power of tech to provide really needed solutions to some of the world's most pressing challenges. So we're thrilled to have you here for International Women's Day, and we want to kind of focus on what your journey as a woman in the financial space, in the entrepreneurship space, in the startup world has looked like, and kind of why you're excited to be here specifically on International Women's Day, and if there are any women in your life who have been incredible mentors, what that's looked like, and then how you hope to give back to other women. I'm going to start with Abby, actually.
Sure. So a little bit more about my background. I graduated from UT Austin 5 years ago, actually with a degree in biology and a minor in business. And I went into school 100% focused on going into healthcare. So I was doing all the pre-med things, all the pre-med classes, and was honestly struggling and not enjoying them. So however, I had just felt so called to healthcare for many, many years. I had gone on even a couple of medical mission trips to Haiti. And so I was super reluctant to let myself venture down that path that I thought I was meant to be on. But fast forward to my senior year of college, I had decided I would go ahead and finish out the biology degree. But I was for the first time realizing, okay, I'm actually excelling in these business classes and enjoying them. So I decided to take an entrepreneurship class with Karen Landolt in the McCombs Business School, who is awesome, and Gaby even knows, which is just a testament to, the kind of person she is. And was just so happy I took that class because I was immediately so inspired by the curriculum, my classmates, and what's so cool about her class is she runs the entire semester basically like an incubator. And then at the very end, you get to do this like mock Shark Tank type thing, which is so cool. And while I was in that class, she brought in the CEO of Charity Charge, Stephen Garten. And I just immediately resonated with what he was doing, which at the time was a consumer credit card for individuals to donate their cash back to any nonprofit. And at the time, I was president of a couple of service-oriented groups on campus, and just immediately told him after the class how much I liked his idea and what he was doing. So as Chelsea said, I started interning right away, and have been working with the company ever since. So I have done everything from marketing to producing our weekly newsletter to a little bit of sales, which was not my cup of tea. But now I'm broadly focused on operations and product enhancement, which is a really great fit for me. I really love that. What else? What's after our journey?
It's extremely helpful, and honestly, just sharing your story is such a powerful move, and so powerful for other women to kind of hear what it means to work in the financial space, what it means to work at startups, and what it means to kind of progress through your career. So thank you for sharing. Gaby, do you want to go next?
Yeah, and there are a couple of different ways I think of slicing this. First, I'll just kind of give a summary of my career trajectory, and then kind of go back and highlight a couple of things that helped along the way. Because I, as a woman, I also don't think I experienced a lot of adversity. Maybe that means things are getting better. But there are also a couple of ways I look back and think, oh, these things really helped. Well, first, my first job out of college was working at South by Southwest. So I was flooded with inspiration. And maybe, making sure that you're following kind of the right voices, the right accounts, the right platforms that are going to inspire you in the way that you want to grow. I'd say was really pivotal to how I thought about what I was capable of, and the rest, kind of the rest of my career. And then it wasn't until Civitas Learning, where I started to realize, and Civitas is more of kind of an ed tech based company, where I came on and kind of translated my event experience to more of a SaaS B2B context, and realized the learning curve I was up against. But I was among so many supportive women in leadership who were willing to help. And we had a similar International Women's Day panel like this. And I remember one woman who was a sales exec wasn't originally programmed to speak, but she pulled up a bar stool and added herself to the panel, and said, I want every woman in this company to take up more space. And that was a really kind of powerful thing that's lingered, because we're here, but if we're not taking up the space that's in front of us, we're not really maximizing the ripple effect we can have. And I noticed a couple of gentlemen in the audience as well. And I think the ask for you guys is, whenever you see that, invite a woman to speak up. And I think there are examples of that happen every day. And then making sure you're building kind of a board of directors of your life, having a very specific voice and kind of guidance counselor for areas that you're maybe not as strong in, and recognizing that as early as possible. And then just making sure that you have your team you can go to and start building those relationships before you need them, are kind of all things that have helped me.
Those are great pieces of advice. Thank you for sharing.
Board of director for your life. I like that. It's good.
Absolutely. Gaby, you're going to be my first board member.
If you still know about the fun South by Southwest things coming up, I'm going to talk to you about it after. Let's see. So part of my, resume that you wouldn't have guessed based on what I had shared earlier about what I'm doing now is that I had a very traditional path. I majored in finance. I worked in investment banking for many years. I went to Wharton. And so all of those environments are not female dominated. And so I think in hindsight, there were probably 3 things that really helped me. One is that I was naive, and that actually kind of helped me because I don't think I was really aware when I was younger in my career that there were these stereotypes or that there were these differences that were perceived or that were, or this kind of glass ceiling, which definitely existed in investment banking, probably still does. And so I just kind of had the blinders on and was like, work, which kind of works at the junior level. But the thing I didn't realize then was, this point of like having your supporters and board of directors and kind of some of the more people-oriented aspects of the work that I wasn't necessarily like networking a lot internally, because no one really ever told me to do those things. But I do think being naive kind of helped me in that junior role. And then the other thing that helped me, which I was very lucky, is women and men may have heard how sometimes people encounter other women in the workplace that aren't helpful. And I was really lucky because I don't think I ever encountered that. I feel like all of the women that were peers or more senior or junior were always people who just wanted to help each other and to, there was no, feeling of like scarcity. Like if I help you, it means I'm not going to do as well. It was a feeling of more is more, the pie can be bigger. So I think I really benefited from, fortunately, being surrounded by good people. And then the third thing I would say is, especially as I've gotten older, is like this idea of trusting your gut. So I think I've benefited from that because I've made a couple big life decisions by just asking myself, if I don't do this, would I regret it? And if the answer is yes, I just do it. Because there was a point when I was more analytical about my decisions, but really in the end, it's like, what do you want to do? Just do it.
I love Maria's point on you can live with the things that you've done and maybe failed and probably learned a lot from those failures, but the things that you could have done that you decided not to try, I think those stick with you. I think, unless Liv has another question.
I have a million, but I want to hear what you're going to say.
Now I'm more nervous than I was a second ago. I think one of the things that I would love if each of you would share is, for us, it's been really great with Nova to build this community of a rising generation of women. And I think even in this room, we're all about intergenerational. So I think it would be neat if each of you might share one either mentee that you have or one woman mentor, just really briefly, and sort of like thank you to them as a way to sort of round out this panel. Maria looked nervous, so I'm going to go to Abby. She looked very confident in her answer.
Well, I'm confident because I gave this a lot of thought leading into the event, and I absolutely don't want to embarrass her, but I have to say thank you to Chelsea because, no, seriously, I've known Chelsea for a few years, and we met when I was just an intern at Charity Charge, and Chelsea was at Amplify Austin at the time, and she has just really gone out of her way to stay connected with me. And if you know Chelsea, she is a super connector. That is her power, like connecting people to other people or other resources that they need. So I'm just so thankful that you invited me here today and honestly nudged me out of my comfort zone a little bit, which is always a really good thing. But just being in contact with you and, making more connections has meant the world to me. So thank you, Chelsea.
It's an honor to know Abby and her team. Thanks, Abby.
I might cheat a little bit because thinking of kind of board of directors, my last marketing team at Civitas Learning, like we all still keep in touch and we all focused on so many different things. Lisa Roberts is a prolific CMO here in Austin. She led that team, and I don't think we realized it at the time, but she kind of built a team of future heads of marketing. And so now we're all kind of leading our own marketing teams, and we all find ourselves back in group texts together, still being like, are we all just as lost? Are we all doing this right? What's working for you? And I think being able to have not just one example, but a group of people where you can share that kind of vulnerability with has been really meaningful.
The reason I look nervous is because there's so many ideas that are floating around that came to mind. There's, my own advisory board for IssueVoter, which is majority women, and they're all amazing, and I go to them for obviously business things, but also like, oh crap, like this happened, or, what do you think about this, and advice. And so there's kind of that group. There's the more personal relationships that I have with friends. That is also a big part of, I think, as you go along in your career, having those women that support you. And then I also thought about my interns when you were mentioned like people that you're mentoring. And one of my interns, she was one of our first interns, and she's now graduated from Stanford Law School. So she's, going to be probably very successful in whatever she does, whether or not that's practice law. And so it's really exciting to see the young people that I work with. It's like, I feel like they are the ones that are in college now are so, impressive, excited. They're so accomplished and mature, and that's something that really excites me.
Thank you all so much for sharing. I mean, we're just thrilled to be able to host this panel today on International Women's Day, because like we said before, a huge part of creating collaboration in the impact space, in the entrepreneurial space, and the startup space is actually telling your story and sharing your experiences and going through and saying, hey, I'm traversing the wild and I don't know if I'm doing it right. How are you managing this as well? So we're so honored to have each and every single one of you here today and as part of the Nova Impact community, and excited for you to plug into Fyli and the work that Jax and Summer and Kat and all these incredible women are doing as well. So thank you for being here, and thank you all for listening.
I have a question. Yes.
Yes,
Can
Jacqueline.
I ask you a question and also open it up to other questions too? Can I ask you, each of you, what's something that you personally need help with on your journey? This is going to be a call to action that we kind of go throughout the day because we have an amazing global community here that's tuning in. How can we help support each of you sitting up there? What do you need help with? What are your asks?
Great question.
So something we're starting to work on at Charity Charge is basically creative ways to support the back end lending. So, what you see is a credit card, just like any other credit card. But on the back end, we partner with a specific bank and with MasterCard. And that comes along with just lending restrictions and regulations. So we're trying to be creative, thinking about like starting a sister foundation or maybe partnering with other foundations so that we can pool capital and hopefully be able to lend to a more diverse group of organizations, especially the really young ones and the really small ones. I think like 90% of nonprofits operate on a budget of $1 million or below. So there's so many of those little guys that are still doing great work and still need a way to make purchases. So we're working on kind of that foundation piece, and would love any insight or help that anyone can offer. So thanks for asking.
Abby, I don't remember the exact number on this, and I think it's important. How many nonprofits have you all worked with?
About 2,000 across our couple of different programs.
This is a really great question. I professionally, we're trying to talk to as many institutions as possible. There are about 4,000 institutions in the U.S. and we only have 35. It's a B2B cycle. So if anyone's in touch with higher ed administration, interested in empowering students and giving them more agency over their degree plan, that's one ask for sure. I think professionally, I continue to find myself in roles that are always a huge stretch role. And so for anyone else who has experience or is going through it now and just wants someone to, kind of be a peer mentor with, I'm always, the more I learn, the more I realize I need to learn. And so just connecting with other people who are going through it and get it is always helpful, just to know I'm not alone.
So professionally with IssueVoter, it's a free public service that anyone can use. And so I invite anyone to sign up. And that's something that it benefits me, it benefits you. But also we do partner with organizations, which I didn't mention earlier. So we partner with universities, we've partnered with organizations like Rock the Vote, and we've done things where, with companies as well, where we're offering just a free platform for them to offer to help people be more civically engaged. And with it being an election year this year, the midterms are coming up, it's going to be very important to encourage everyone to be educated and vote. And I could talk about that forever, about voting and civic engagement. So we could talk about that after. And then on a personal side, I would say that I judge cities a lot by whether or not I like their food. So I am newly back in Austin. I'm from Austin, but I lived in New York for about 13 years. And so I would love restaurant recommendations. And earlier I kind of said it jokingly, but I really am also looking for new projects to take on. So if anyone has a problem, I can do recruiting, strategy, finance, nonprofit stuff, tech stuff.
One woman show.
Also, thank you, Jacqueline, for asking us what we need. I think that's a very good question on International Women's Day, and I hope all of us take that forward, that we spend a lot of time thinking about what we're doing for community, what we're doing for others, but having the space to think about what each of us needs. So thank you for creating that space.
Chelsea, do you want to fill that space? You want to answer?
Oh, no. Yes, please. What do we need? I think something that I see over and over again, and I kind of mentioned this a bit earlier in terms of intergenerational, but for us as women to get to sit here after hearing Susan Rockefeller speak and be reminded of the weight of what that means and the weight of what community means, there's really just no words. So I think what I need is maybe what we all need, which is more rooms of intergenerational collaboration, more abilities to create communities, and more ways to bring women alongside us like the Fyli team does every day.
I couldn't say it any better. I mean, we're just excited to be here, to be supportive of these women up here and the women in the world who are kind of paving the way in entrepreneurship to bring kind of the values that we really care a lot about into the world of everything. So thank you all for coming here. Thank you all for being here. And we're super excited to have done this.